Our first guest today will give us an inside look into the latest leisure and real estate trends in the Philippines. We're joined by Luis Enrique Mangosing, the CEO of Metro Development Managers. Hi, Luis. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I guess let's start with the big picture. How buoyant is the Philippine property sector in terms of volumes of transactions?
We're seeing signs of we're seeing signs that the real estate industry and the local economy are recovering, no? Underpinned by rising domestic investments and consumption as restrictions are eased. No? This is allowing for more manufacturing and construction activities. Hopefully, we should be back to pre-pandemic levels in the next 2 years. I said 2 years because there's still a large inventory overhang, especially in the residential and the office sectors. There are also projects that have been delayed or deferred intentionally as a result of the lockdown. And when these go online, the supply will further increase even while take-up is still building up to pre-pandemic levels now. And likewise, there are risks and headwinds, so to speak, ahead of us. So to name a few, we have higher debt levels now, which will take away resources from government to pay for debt service. There's also an ongoing Ukrainian and Russian war, which has disrupted the global supply ecosystem that has induced a rapid increase in local and global prices. And of course, and hope not, this is potential slowing down of the mainland Chinese economy, one of our major trading partners. I guess we just have to wait until the economic team of the next administration plots their strategy to get us quickly out of this slump and towards a sustainable growth trajectory.
You did mention, Luis, interesting that you feel that when supply increases and take-up will still try to catch up. Would that mean prices could go down when you've got more supply than demand?
Yes, in both office and the residential sectors, vacancies are high and prices have actually tapered off starting in the pandemic period. No? That is still the case until now, although there's signs of a bit of revving up. But as I said, supply still outpaces the demand. Demand hasn't gone back to its pre-pandemic levels. Therefore, I do expect to see that take-up will still be tamed until jobs are back. There's going to be increase in OFW remittances. Additional investments from BPO should come in, and so forth and so on.
So where are you seeing the interesting growth prospects today, if not the residential and office? Is it in retail? Is it in leisure, lifestyle malls, or logistics, data centers? Data centers are sounding to be very hot these days.
Even during the pandemic, Michelle, we've seen that subdivision developments in the fringes of Metro Manila have actually shown resiliency. These are projects with price points of about up to 3 million. But otherwise, in-city condominium sales have declined not only in Metro Manila, but in other urban centers such as Cebu, Iloilo, and even Davao. No? We've also heard a lot of news of foreign investments with local tie-ups going into data centers. But I don't see this evolving in the same league as the office market in terms of size. Another interesting trend are new investments in the logistic sector, but most likely locations will be limited in the fringes of Metro Manila as this sector is very price sensitive.
All right. Let's go to some of the sectors, the more traditional sectors that we used to rely on, the office space, for example. There's a little bit more challenge in terms of going back to the office, and I know that Asia Pacific, in terms of return to the office, is sort of catching up. We're a bit behind the curve. What is the outlook on the office space segment? You did say that the take-up is not there yet, but what are you seeing in the next 6 to 12 months at least? Because for example, in the BPO sector, which drove demand for office spaces, which is supposed to be space hungry, they're fighting to keep the 70-30% work from home setup.
Yep. Well, as I mentioned, vacancy is still high. Rent rates have declined as a result. And while take-up is still positive, the volume is way below pre-pandemic levels. We'd like to see the BPO market evolving over time. No? The slowdown in the economy of host countries, i.e. the US, Australia, and Europe, could be a silver lining, as this will induce further cost cutting or optimizing in their home base. And hopefully this will encourage more outsourcing, hopefully again in favor of the Philippines. But the gaming sector is still down. That's been the major driver of office occupancy 2 years before the pandemic. Unless they come back, the speed of take-up will still be very gradual.
Speed of take-up very gradual. Let's go to the rates, the story of interest rates. The Philippine Central Bank has joined the race to neutral. We did see a 25 basis point hike in May. 2 more have been signaled by the incoming BSP Governor Felipe Medalla. What do you think will the impact be of rising interest rates to the sector? I mean, how soon will the sector feel it? How much? And how long will the impact last? Or unless you belong to the camp that says, you know what, rates are coming from record lows, even if they go up and normalize, they'd still be reasonably low.
Yeah, I agree, no, but higher interest rates will impact greatly the housing mortgage market, no, particularly, and if that levels continue to increase to tame inflation or to buoy up the pesos versus other currencies, no, we will see a slowdown in take-up of residential sector if interest rates breaches a certain level where it becomes unaffordable to the lower middle income segment. For example, private loans and even pag-ibig. No? Hopefully pag-ibig will stay put where its rates are at the moment. Mind you, it will also increase the cost of debt and will directly impact on the cost of development, therefore higher prices by the development. I suspect also that rates will stay elevated while oil prices remain high and supply chain bottlenecks continue to delay, the timely arrival and deliveries of raw materials.
I was going to ask, Luis, how exposed is the Philippine property market to inflation and supply chain disruptions? I mean, are you seeing right now skyrocketing costs of these raw materials and a lot of these construction materials currently out of stock? I mean, what's happening on the ground?
Well, 2 things, Michelle. No, definitely prices have actually increased, both wholesale and retail prices of construction materials. But the more difficult challenge for development company and contractors alike are the timely deliveries of critical raw materials to the site. Reason why there's a lot of projects that's been delayed and actual movement on the ground is very slow. And that continues today.
All right. You're one of the judges for the Property Guru Philippine Property Awards. We talked about the big trends earlier. How do you imagine this year's competition is going to be shaped by the backdrop of what we just talked about? Rising interest rates, demand still trying to catch up, supply coming online. How do you imagine the narrative will evolve this year?
Well, Michelle, surprisingly, last year, the Philippines had one of the biggest entries in the whole region. I think it's because developers have actually gained confidence in participating with the Philippine Property Awards because it creates a lot of visibility for them. No? The Philippine Property Awards have actually evolved into perhaps the most popular real estate benchmarking event, not only here in the Philippines but also in the region. They get a lot of visibility during and after the awards, and this helps them convey the message to their respective markets. No? So, if I may, Michelle, I'd like to encourage boutique developers, regional players, and even local developers to participate in this year's Philippine Property Awards 2022 version, and encourage them to compete head-on with the big players. As in the past years, we've seen regional players and local players garnering much deserved recognition for their projects versus the big players.
And what are the trends of the future that you're seeing in the property market? Is green construction still the trend of the future, or has it evolved?
In the office market, there are a lot of interest and participants, no? Because it helps market the development, no? Especially amongst multinationals and even big conglomerates. They want to be in a office building that's green certified and sustainable. In the residential, it hasn't picked up as much as in the office sector. Why? Because it doesn't matter to the unit owners whether it's green or not, as long as to them it's affordable and it's priced reasonably.
You know, Luis, we've been talking about smart cities for years, and we know how smart cities are smart cities connected, where everything is connected. We know how smart cities are composed of smart buildings, where machines talk supposedly amongst themselves to make living within that building or within that space very convenient and efficient. Is smart building also a big thing among contractors and developers?
Yes, they are. It's not in the same league yet as in more developed countries like Europe and in the US and Japan. But I've seen projects, new developments, modern developments in our commercial business districts that's slowly adopting new technologies. Really, partly the reason is really to stay competitive. But it's also being asked for by potential tenants.
All right. On that note, Luis, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It was a great speaking with you and getting your insights. Thank you. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you again, Michelle, and good morning.
G'day, it's Peter back with another episode of the Property Club. I've got my cup of coffee. It's approximately 9 in the morning here in Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm filming. You're probably wondering where I'm filming from. I'm filming from my new condo here in Bangkok, Thailand. But today I'm talking about the Philippines. As much as I love Thailand, I love just as much the Philippines, and I want to talk about 10 reasons why to buy real estate in the Philippines today in 2024. Number 10 is the thriving expat community. So there is a huge expat community, and I need to be honest, I feel more at home and more comfortable and feel like I have more friends, probably because I have been in the Philippines longer. But I don't know what it is, but there's a really good sense of community in the Philippines, and that's really important to me. I think part of it too, Thailand, for example, has increased the elite visa to 5 million Thai baht from like 1 or 2 million Thai baht, depending on the type of elite visa you buy, right? Whereas, places like the Philippines, the visa situation is a lot easier, especially if you have a spouse, okay? Or you're a retiree. They have good retiree visas, and they have visas, for young and old, okay? So really good expat community. I love the community personally, and that's why I spend most of my time, the majority of my time, in the Philippines. Let's talk about government support all the way down. So you've got Subic Freeport, you've got Clark Freeport, you've got all of that. You've got all of the government incentives for those coming to the Philippines and those free ports. Obviously, as a business, you can tap into 0% tax. So a bit more on that later. But yeah, there is a lot of government support and development. So you will notice there is a lot of development, especially in the Clark area. Clark has just gone insane. So both Clark and Angeles City, the prices have skyrocketed because there's a lot of development, and the development's huge. There's lots of apartment buildings, new call centers, casinos, huge, big casinos. I think there's about 7 or 8 casinos, big, giant, corporations, hotels and resorts like the Marriott, Hilton coming in, big companies like the Hand Casino has come in. Royce has got a new wing. So yeah, it's all happening there in Clark, and Angeles City is great too. I personally invested hand on heart in Angeles City because I know just long term, the growth and just how crazy it is. Obviously, there in Clark, talking about the Clark region again, you got the airport. So you got the airport in Clark. Most recently, they have started using the Subic airport as well for private use. It looks like they're flying in planes from Hawaii at this stage. There has been a Hawaiian Airlines flight, has flown in, at least one flight has flown in to Subic Bay Airport. The next is number 8, proximity to Metro Manila. Now, as much as I personally wouldn't want to live in Metro Manila anymore, you might want to. And, obviously I'm talking about, when I'm talking about, buying in the Philippines and why buy, 10 reasons why to buy in the Philippines, I am talking about the Zambales region. But you might like Metro Manila and want to buy there. But look, while I still like that whole region, you've got Angeles City, an hour and a half from Manila if you travel at the right time. Same thing goes for Subic Bay, is about 2 hours. And then if you're around about where I am in Zambales, you travel at night, you're looking about 3 to 3.5 hours, depending on where in Zambales you are, whether you're in San Narciso or you're in Pundaka Beach. So look, definitely you want proximity to places, major transportation hubs like Metro Manila. Maybe there's a cheap flight, maybe you're trying to get back, or maybe you need to do something with your visa at immigration. So that is a good point. But yeah, it's accessible to major cities, but my thing is you can go a lot closer to Subic Bay from Zambales, 1 hour, and then 2 hours you've got Angeles, which is much closer. Number 7, and this is a key one for me, it's family friendly. So definitely very family friendly and orientated when it comes to the Philippines. It's normal that you have 1, 2, 3 plus kids, right? So, there's lots of things for kids to do, especially in the malls and that sort of things. You've got good schools, they teach in English, especially in my region. Again, when I'm talking about, buying, I'm obviously talking about my region, but in Subic Bay, definitely they've got some great schools, some awesome schools, and that's one of the reasons that we focused there from the very beginning. Actually, our house in SBMA was just around the corner from a school when we thought about having that house and the kid going to school a bit further down the track. So still got that house there if needed. So yeah, it's family friendly, lots of parks. Like Clark's got lots of nice parks. They call it the New Green City. You've got Zambales, which has nice beaches, hiking, lots of things to do, especially for kids to get out in the countryside and live that outback lifestyle. Especially, I want young Pete to be out in the surf and learn how to swim in the beach, and I'll teach him to do that, or ride a motorbike. So out in our area, I think is fantastic. Number 6, tax incentives for businesses. So I did say I would touch on this a little bit earlier today. There are some huge tax incentives, right? Especially in Angeles City and Clark and Subic Freeport. So you've got Clark Freeport and you've got Subic Freeport. When it says Freeport, what does that mean? That means you can import goods in and out of the Freeport tax-free. That means you might be VAT exempt, so you don't have VAT. You get a VAT exemption. You could even get a CIT, a corporate income tax break, for up to 6 to 8 years of 0% if you invest in a certain industry within the Freeport. Now that could be a BPO industry, it could be the call center industry. It really depends what they're looking for. It could be a software company or something like that. But obviously, the Philippines is looking to obviously enhance its skilled workers, and those companies investing in building sites and call centers and actually training people will receive benefits, and those tax breaks are one of them. So that's a big one. Both Subic Bay and Clark, right next to Angeles City, you can access those breaks. Clark, you do it through the CDC, the Clark Development Corporation, and Subic Bay, you do it through SBMA. So you just go down to the government office there on the bay. Number 5, surfing and that laid back beach vibe. Okay, so number 5 is about, living that lifestyle like I've got, living the surfy vibe, being able to swim every day in the ocean on the beach side, whether it's, Pundakat Beach, or you want to go up to Crystal Beach at San Narciso at the resort there and swim between the flags, or you want to go up to Liliwa. So Liliwa is a great town. It's got all the beach bars and ATV riding and lots to do there. And they've got some really nice sections there of pools of water, which are just like these beautiful turquoise pools. And for swimming, it is great. It does vary during the year. Most of the year, it's pretty flat. It's like glass, almost like a lake. But the rest of the year, not all of the year, but the rest of the year, depending on where you go, San Narciso and then San Felipe and Pundakat Beach down, there are some really good surf breaks. So that surfy beach vibe, hang 10, hang loose, is a big one. Number 4, so this is a huge one. It's WFH friendly, so work from home friendly. Philippines, what you need to understand, because I've lived in the Philippines a long time. I've been in the Philippines over 15 years, and I can tell you now, forever I dreamed of living in the provincial areas and being out of the big cities and having good internet. And it is hilarious because during pandemic, actually, a lot of the initiative and spending from Duterte, to be fair to his government party, they did spend, and companies like Converge and PLDT rolled out fiber throughout the provinces so you could work from home. So previously the Philippines was not work from home friendly. It is now. Most provincial areas you can now get fiber, and anyway, you don't actually need it because now Elon Musk, we have the Skylink and you have the satellite. You can pay, I think it's about $90 a month or something. It's pretty expensive, but you have the satellite and you can get satellite internet as well, thanks to Elon Musk and Tesla. So it is work from home friendly, and the internet is good in those provincial beach areas, which is awesome. Number 3, the Philippines is paradise. The Philippines is a retirement paradise. Now I'm going to say it's a retirement paradise, but it's also a digital nomad paradise in my mind. So for expats, young and old, whether you're retiring or wanting to have a slower pace of life or just be a digital nomad and work from home, it does appeal to both young and old. And let's face it, whether you are young and old and you are a retiree, you have options, especially when it comes to dating, when it comes to real estate. Look at the property prices in the Western world and how crazy it is. And dating obviously isn't as easy as it used to be either, since things like dating apps and Facebook and social media. So young and old people are moving for the Philippines, for things like being a digital nomad, working from home, for relationships, for settling down, for getting married, for having kids, for just living that Tambay and beach lifestyle and having a different pace of life, or just retiring and finding the love of your life. Number 2 is affordable beach property. Okay, so you can own beachside or beachfront property at a fraction of the cost of the Western world. So me in Australia, it would cost $5 to $10 million to own a basic shack. Nowadays in Australia, even a shack in some of the suburbs of $4 and $5 million in Sydney now, right? It's just absolutely absurd what prices cost. Whereas, for a fraction of the cost, a few $100,000, you might be on the beachfront, or if you wanted to spend a bit less, you could have a house on the beachside at a fraction of the cost. So yeah, that's what's really important. I love living on the beach. I love that beach lifestyle. I'm telling everyone from Metro Manila, get out. The best advice I ever got when I first came to the Philippines, and I wish I listened to this advice when I first came, which is get out of Metro Manila. I wasted 7 or 8 years of my life there. My God, I wish I hadn't. Get out, because the provinces, especially in Zambales up north, just 3 or so hours from Metro Manila, you have that beachfront lifestyle. It is accessible, it is still affordable, but it won't be forever. So get out there, find your patch of dirt and build something for yourself, and build that dream beach house for yourself. living on the beach. You know, I always dreamed of it. It was kind of my dream moving to the Philippines. Everyone's got their reasons as to why they do. One of the main reasons why I moved to the Philippines was to build my beachfront house, my dream home, and I've done that, and I'm really, really happy about that. And I love that house. I love it, and Pete loves it, and the dog love it, and you know, we got ATVs and motorbikes, and you know, we have a great time when I am there. Anyway, the number one reason why to buy property in the Philippines is the Philippines property market is booming. There is no doubt in the last 5 years alone, the Philippines has had the best capital growth in Southeast Asia and Asia as a whole, okay? The property market has been insane. Some land developments are coming out, you know, in the provincial areas and selling for like crazy dollars, like, you know, 1,000 peso per square meter, under $20 per square meter, and then, you know, a year later reselling for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you know, dollars per square meter, especially regions like Angeles City, Subic Bay, and of course my favorite again, Zambales, is just out of control. It's booming. I wish I'd bought more, if anything, but obviously it is hard with the laws and obviously how to structure things. Some people use usufructs. I don't recommend that. Obviously, you know, if you do have a partner or you do have a child, you can put property in their name. That does help a lot. You know, setting up companies and, you know, odd structures you can do, but it is complicated. It does cost money with lawyers, so that's the downside. But it's such a lucrative market and it's booming out of control, and especially buying land. Yes, I love units, and there are some great deals you can get on condominiums, but at the end of the day, land, especially anything near the beach, that's what you really want to buy, because that's what's going to make the money long term on capital growth. All right, cheers. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe. I do need your support. Double thumbs up, and bye for now.
2023 was a good year for the Philippine housing industry, which displayed resilience amid economic headwinds. Now, as inflation cools, 2024 is seen to bring more growth opportunities for the real estate sector. For their aspirations and plans for the industry, we are joined by officials of the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association, or SHDA. We have with us its chairman, Leonardo Dayo Jr., and National President, Joy Manao. Welcome to the Business Roadshow, both of you.
Thank you for having us, Dan.
All right, let's talk about trends now. Spotting trends, in fact, in real estate, given it's a moving target, really. Because pre-pandemic, the office rental business was booming, but in the last 3 years, of course, it was really down, and it was the residential space that was showing some resilience. Now, what prospects for the residential sector are you seeing for 2024? Yeah, maybe Joy first. Okay, Leonardo first.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Ladies first.
Well, we're seeing a lot of good prospects right now this year. Last year, many developers reported an increase in income in 2023. So in 2024, we expect the housing sector to continue growing as more opportunities for expansion open to developers.
Okay. Now, Attorney Joy, you know, they always say residential units are making headway in a lot of ways, really, in recent years. But fact remains, we still have that elephant in the room, the 6.7 million housing backlog. What is the challenge now in terms of narrowing that gap significantly, and what is the strategy now?
Well, one of the major challenges that we see in the housing sector is, of course, on the permitting process. It still remains as a major burden for most of the developers. So we continue to work with the government in trying to streamline the permitting process. As you know, we have to work with about 27 government offices filed 78 permits, and we have to get 146 signatures on 373 documents. So that is really something that we need to work with the government in order to speed up production of housing.
All right, I'd like to ask Architect Leonardo Dayo Jr. now, still on the housing backlog. Have we really significantly bridged the gap? What are you seeing?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, Stan. I believe we have, the government has in place a very good program in the 4PH, wherein the drive is really to provide homes for the homeless. As you well know, we do have a substantial backlog, but these things do take time, especially in the current form of the 4PH. The housing units are vertical in nature, and that does take time. I think you will see some progress in the next 24 or 36 months, but there are a lot of positive gains and positive aspects to this program. But we should also remember that the private sector has a huge role in addressing the backlog.
All right. Okay. Architect Dayo, we've been covering quite closely, interest rates, bank financing, which is still a bit high at this stage. Well, on the financing side, which a lot of Filipino homeowners are really relying on, what is the landscape like now amid high interest rates? I mean, have these been a deterrent to borrowing for housing loans, if you will?
Well, there's actually a bright spot here, Stan, in the form of Pag-ibig. Just recently, I'm sure as you've heard, that Pag-ibig has increased their required
mandatory monthly savings, right?
Yes,
right.
To double. But this is something that was welcomed by the industry wholeheartedly. I mean, after 38 long years, the contribution has finally increased. And this is a welcome development as it would result in a more sustained housing loan program because of the sustainable funds coming from the members while maintaining a low interest rate, if not still the lowest in the market.
Okay, it seems like the most immediate options for a lot of home borrowers are either, you go through the way of Pag-ibig or bank interest rates. Now, what is the scenario now in terms of going the Pag-ibig way being a better option than going, with the banks with high interest rates? Is the Pag-ibig interest rate still competitive at this juncture?
Well, as I mentioned, as far as the developers are concerned, it's still the lowest in the market. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 6.35, while the banks are 6.5 or 6.75. And Pag-ibig does offer a longer pay term of around 30 years, where traditionally banks would go only up to 20. But we do see some few banks that are trying to compete head-on with Pag-ibig by offering the same longer term.
Okay, how are you seeing development now? This is, of course, on the side of the subdivision and housing developing businesses. Is there a pause, given that, we're operating in a high-interest environment right now?
I think the developers who, especially us in SHGA, we are still very bullish and very upbeat because there is actually a lot of interest coming from both government and private financial institutions in housing activities. So I am very bullish. We are very bullish that new town developments and integrated area development planning will still be prevalent in different areas, growth areas in the country.
All right. Now, I'd like to ask Attorney Joy, when you talk about growth areas in the country, housing has been very prominent in bigger cities than in rural areas. How's expansion like when you talk about nationwide coverage and making housing available even in rural areas?
Well, we're very happy to see that there are already a lot of improvements as well as the expansion in the regions of our country. Many of our national players are also going to their regions already because they see the need as well as the market in our regions.
All right. Now, SHDA, the group has also unveiled plans to achieve sustainable housing in 2024. This is going by a lot of businesses who are also big in sustainability. Now, we're 3 months into 2024. Are those plans in action right now?
Yes, all the plans that we have laid down for this year are already underway. And we're happy to be working in close collaboration with our government on the advocacies of SHDA. And we've been receiving positive response from our government, although we still need to continue with our close collaboration.
All right. Now we're having this conversation in time that the SHDA has a new board of officers. So what new visions and missions does the leadership plan to attain in 2024 as regards contributing better to the Philippine housing industry? Maybe Attorney Joy first.
Well, as I've mentioned, one of our thrusts really is to be able to advocate to the government our policies, policy reforms that we would want to see for the housing industry. So we continue to find solutions with our government agencies on specifically on the permitting process and other housing issues. We also are updating our housing roadmap that will serve as a guide to both the government and the housing sector. We're also advocating and promoting sustainable housing development. And we want to ensure that SHEDA services reach our members both in the national and regional levels.
All right. And Architect Dayo?
Yeah, well, just to add, Stan, SHEDA will always support the government in all its initiatives, activities, and programs. However, we do note that there is a need to have a conducive climate as well as a predictable policy environment for this participation and partnership.
All right. On that note, we thank you so much, Architect Leonardo Dayo Jr. and Attorney Joy Manaug of SHDA. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stan.